Welcome to the Blue Duck Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome to the Week 2 preview. Matt, what are you doing? We're doing a podcast here. It's not time to fix the plant. Anyways, welcome to the show. My name is Ben. Of course, that's Matt. And today we're going to be previewing Week 2, but we're going to start off with some news. Matt, what do you got for us?
We just got some injury news here. Today, a report came out that Hunter Henry, LA Chargers tight end, is expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks. Obviously, quite a blow for that team that is also possibly losing Mike Williams for the week there. Obviously, going to be a big uptick to Keenan Allen. He's going to get just a ton of targets there.
Yeah, I'll be moving up my rankings. I think I had him first already in PPR. I think he'll be at the same spot in standard as well for this week. If you have Hunter Henry on your team, and we always say don't get a second tight end unless it's a really deep league, which tight ends are you targeting right now on the waiver wire? It's already ran, so you got to get what's available on the ad drop. Who are your top 3 guys to go after?
Well, I'll start with the one that we ended up picking up in our very deep league, which is Tyler Higbee. The Rams just made him a top 10 paid tight end, so they got to believe that they've got something there. Top of my head here, with waivers already have gone through, I'm going to say maybe Jason Witten's probably available in a lot of leagues. And I'm going to say maybe, I don't even know who a third tight end would be that would be available.
What about Noah Fant?
I was thinking him, but I thought he might be too heavily owned.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the ownership percentages on these guys are. But yeah, we took Higbee. That's a pretty deep league, though, with 24 roster spots, 12 teams. So there's a lot of backup tight end. A lot of young tight ends are drafted on rookie contracts as well. So in your league, there should be more available. Who knows? Maybe somebody decided to drop Vance McDonald to pick up a TJ Hawkinson or a Mark Andrews. You know, fingers crossed. Maybe you can grab a Kyle Rudolph, who didn't do anything this week as far as I can tell off the game sheet. I don't remember him doing anything. So hopefully somebody drops somebody. If not, you're just going to have to kind of survive picking up guys like we did with Tyler Higbee.
You could maybe look at Chris Herndon. He probably wasn't drafted a lot of leagues, and he's going to be back in 3 weeks.
Yeah, you're still short a tight end for 3 weeks. Yeah, not much out there. Hopefully you can get somebody. But why don't we keep going with the news? What else you got?
Tyreek Hill, looks like it was confirmed today that he's out 4 to 6 weeks. We talked about this a little bit on Sunday, who might take a hit here or get a uptick anyway. That is going to be Sammy Watkins, going to be a big uptick there. Travis Kelce is going to still be tight end number 1. I like Mecole Hardman because of this. You weren't that high on him. And Patrick Mahomes is still going to be Patrick Mahomes and QB1.
Yeah, for sure. I saw the snap counts, and Mecole Hardman had played a lot of snaps, so I'm not down on him by any means. I can't think of the name of the other person that they have there right now.
Demarcus Robinson, the third wide receiver there.
Right, and both he and Mecole Hardman had played a high percentage of snaps after the Tyreek Hill injury. So Demarcus Robinson is probably available and free in every league, and somebody you can take a flyer on. Mecole Hardman probably owned in probably close to half. But if he's not, then by all means put him on your roster. 4 to 6 weeks is a long time. A lot can happen in that time. Player can develop easily. So Mecole Hardman is somebody you definitely should add to your roster. Demarcus Robinson is, if you have room, add him on your roster.
Yeah, no, same thing. Mecole Hardman is probably as similar as you're going to get to a Tyreek Hill type player for the Chiefs there. Next, we've got the never-ending saga of Antonio Brown.
Who?
Oh, you might have heard about him a little bit this week.
Marquise Brown?
Nope.
Malcolm Brown?
Nope.
AJ Brown?
Nope.
The Browns?
Nope.
Oh, Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown.
Former Raider, now Patriot, now possibly on the NFL Commissioner's exempt list.
Possibly, but there hasn't been anything like that coming out. He did practice today with the Patriots. Looks on pace to play right now, they were saying, unless the NFL does put him on the Commissioner exempt list. Beautiful matchup for them this week against the Dolphins. We kind of touched on this already once on Sunday. New England is basically start everybody there.
Yeah, agree with that. The wide receivers get a huge bump in value if Antonio Brown doesn't play. We don't know what his role is going to be yet in this offense, but I wasn't excited for Josh Gordon if Antonio Brown is playing. If Antonio Brown is not playing, I am excited for Josh Gordon and will be putting him into my lineup on a team where I own him, where he's currently on the bench. If that's going to wrap it up for the news. And moving on to the Thursday nighter, we got Tampa Bay at Carolina. How are you feeling about this one, man?
I feel like it's going to be high scoring. Most Thursday nighters are. Excited for Christian McCaffrey show, I guess, again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully Cam Newton does something this week that doesn't disappoint his fantasy owners like myself. I have him in a couple leagues. DJ Moore, somebody else I'm pretty high on for Carolina as a more of like a second string wide receiver there for you. On the Tampa side, Mike Evans, maybe Ronald Jones, Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard. Probably take a flyer on Winston with all those receiving weapons. I don't believe what happened week 1 is going to happen again.
I actually have Winston in one of my leagues, and I'm sitting him in favor of Phillip Rivers. That was before the Hunter Henry news. So now that might get flipped. I was excited for Ronald Jones a little bit until Bruce Arians said that Peyton Barber's still the starter. So as I mentioned on the last podcast, this is going to be a frustrating situation all year. Barber will probably get the start. If he plays well, he'll get most of the carries. If he doesn't, Jones will come in. I'm not overly excited about DJ Moore, but I did see today that him and Curtis Samuel played pretty much the same amount of snaps on in their week 1 matchup. So Curtis Samuel, not somebody I'd be starting, but he is somebody who could just have a big game out of nowhere. Greg Olsen injured as well, might not be playing, hoping to play. Any value in Ian Thomas, somebody to pick up if the Hunter Henry owner doesn't have anybody else?
No, I'd probably still go with the other guys we were talking about before Ian Thomas. Of course, if Olsen's out there, I'd probably take him, but not with the injury news. It's tough to say.
I'm going to disagree with that. I'd rather have the clear-cut starter Ian Thomas on a team that uses the tight end. I'm pretty sure Greg Olsen had a decent week 1. Not great, but decent for him. Anyways, moving on to the Sunday games. Arizona at Baltimore is the first one I have on the docket here. It's going to be a real test for Kyler Murray, as his defense was pretty good last year. I wouldn't start him in this matchup, and I would avoid starting Hollywood Brown unless you really need a miracle to win. And this early in the season, unless you've lost Tyreek Hill, Hunter Henry, Mike Williams, and let's just say Darius Geis, and probably you drafted Antonio Brown, and you just need a miracle, I would kind of be avoiding Hollywood Brown this week. Let him show it again. Mark Andrews will be a popular tight end play because of what Hawk did against the Arizona Cardinals last week. So I'd be looking to avoid him in DFS tournaments, but if you got him on your team, he's probably your number 1 tight end, and I'd start him.
Yeah, obviously don't expect the Ravens to do what they did last week. But Mark Andrews, that's an interesting play with the TJ Hawkinson performance last week. I'm with you with Hollywood Brown as well. I would not start him until I've seen him do it at least one more week. For the Cardinals, Kyler Murray he's kind of like what I said last week about him. He's going to be a boom or bust play. If you need the boom, take a gamble on him, but the Ravens defense is going to be tough for him to live up to the hype. And the Cardinals wide receivers, they're going to do what they always do. Yeah.
Kyler Murray was basically boom in the first 3 quarters, bust in the first 3 quarters, and then boom in the 4th quarter, and the rest of the game on Sunday. Fitzgerald's always a guy that you can start. Christian Kirk seemed to have a good rapport with Kyler Murray on the sideline, so he's an okay flex start as well in a 3 wide receiver league. Moving on, Buffalo Bills, New York Giants. I got this marked as the battle of the bad. Should be the Saquon show after all the comments about him not getting enough touches in week 1, so he's an auto start if he wasn't already. John Brown to me is a surprise starter in my rankings for this one. The Giants got decimated by Dak last week, so I can see the Bills wide receivers having some success, and I even have Cole Beasley as a top 60 play. So if you have a league that's about 5 wide receivers going in PPR, then he's okay. And those leagues exist. A couple of our RSL leagues are 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and then 2 more flexes, or 2 wide receivers and 3 more flexes. So yeah, in a deeper starting league, that's what I have there. Matt, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, just to kind of touch on the Saquon thing. If Sterling Shepard is in concussion protocol, and according to reports out of New York, it's not looking that great for him to make it out of it in time for the game, that's just going to lead to more touches for Saquon there. And Evan Ingram, of course, is going to be the focal point of the passing game.
Any wide receivers on the Giants that you'd be interested in if Sterling is out?
No, not at all.
That makes 2 of us.
Golden Tate's still out, right?
Yeah, Golden Tate's still out. Yeah. Anything else to add?
Nope.
All right, so we'll move on to Dallas at Washington. What are your thoughts on this game, Matt? What are your thoughts on the Cowboys after what Dak did last week?
Dak's definitely not going to do what he did last week to the Giants, to the Washington, and that's only because Ezekiel Elliott's going to be more of a focal point. They're going to be running it a lot more than they did last week. Cooper should still be pretty similar to what he did. Michael Gallup probably won't have quite the game that he had, but big uptick for Zeke this week. He's going to do a lot more than he did last week, even though he was decent last week anyway.
So I know they're not the same player, but Deshaun Jackson had a big week against the second corner for Washington last week, and Gallup would be the second wide receiver on this team. You're not feeling that matchup?
Not particularly, no.
Okay. I think it's all right as a flex matchup in a 3 wide receiver set. Definitely have no interest in Cobb. I know you're with me on that one. And Dak is definitely going to come back to earth. But as I mentioned, the deep ball will be in play again. So he's not a sit for me, Dak, but he's not somebody I'm looking to start either. I think we touched on this, or maybe we haven't, but Darius Geis is out, and AP will be getting a great opportunity in this one. Saquon had actually a great game against Dallas on 10 touches. He was over 100 yards, so that Dallas D is not really good, or Saquon is really, really good.
That's what I was going to say. Saquon is a little bit better than Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson had a good good year last year, but he's definitely not Saquon. And Washington's O-line is just not very good, and Trent Williams being out does not help that at all. He'll get some volume play, AP, and I mean he's decent flex start this week just to see what happens. But I don't have too high of expectations for Adrian Peterson this week.
And one thing to keep in mind if you are a Geis owner is how well AP plays. If he plays really well, it could relegate Geis to being out longer than he needs to be, or when they come back, it could end up being a split, killing the value of both guys. So keep an eye on that. Terry McLaurin's the only other interesting person I have here. He's not a start yet, but he is interesting, and you want to see what he does. If you did pick him up, he should be stashed on your bench. Colts at Titans. I got Indy with the upset here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I think Mac should have a great game in this one. You know I'm not a Mac fan, but he looked good on Sunday. And Chubb actually ran well against the Titans last week. They just didn't feed him enough. And I don't expect Mariota to do much in this one. So definitely sit A.J. Brown. We got Funchess out for the season for the Colts. That bumps up Paris Campbell and Deion Kane's value. But they're players to keep an eye on at the moment. They're not players to start. Because Brissett did look good in week 1, but he's still not startable either.
Yeah, the only guys from the Colts that I'd start this week are Hilton and Mack. Just the rest aren't reliable enough, not even Ebron. And the Titans with Derrick Henry. I think Corey Davis is going to do a little bit more than he did last week this week. Going out on a limb.
You're a Corey Davis truther, though, so you're going to keep saying that week after week. When will you give up? 6 weeks worth of bad play?
Well, if he gets 0 catches this week, I might give up on him.
Okay. You heard it here. 0 catches, and Matt will burn his Corey Davis jersey. Oh, wait, that's my jersey.
That is.
Okay, so let's move on. Jacksonville, Houston. This should be pretty one-sided. Not interested in anyone other than Fournette for the Jaguars, but I am interested to see how well the quarterback and wide receiver connection is. I got Chark in a couple leagues on the bench, stashed. These are more than 1-year leagues, so looking to see how well Chark and Dede do as well. Kenny Stills, your man, is buy or sell for you right now?
I am going to be more on the buy side right now. I don't think. I mean, he's pretty much free almost everywhere. I mean, he's nothing that you're giving up a ton for. But when Will Fuller gets hurt, which he probably will, that's going to be the role that Kenny Stills has. Kenny Stills had that role Monday night. I think he only had a couple of catches, but he got the late touchdown, which kind of sticks out big for me right now. DeAndre Hopkins, do we have to talk about him at all?
Nope.
Not really. No. So DeAndre will be shadowed by Jalen Ramsey, though. Something to watch.
I mean, they couldn't stop Sammy last week, so I'm not overly worried about them on Hopkins. I was a little bit worried for Hill in week 1, but that defense got lit up, and this offense might not be quite as good as Kansas City, but it's up there. It's a pretty good offense. So if you have to pick up Kenny Stills, who are some wide receivers that would have been drafted that you're dropping right now? Why don't you give me 3 names?
Marvin Jones, Anthony Miller, Dante Moncrief.
Okay. I'm not opposed to the second one. Pretty even on the first one, and the third one's a no for sure. Moncrief played about as many snaps as Juju did last game, so he was up there. So definitely wouldn't be dropping him for Kenny Stills. But you do bring up a good point. Kiki's always hurt. Will Fuller's always hurt. So Kenny Stills could be the number 2 there, which definitely have some value throughout the buys. Let's talk about the running backs in Houston real quick. Carlos Hyde, Duke Johnson. I think Duke had 2/3 of the touches and or 2/3 of the snaps, and Carlos Hyde had about 1/3. But Carlos Hyde was really good on the touches that he got. Are you starting any of these guys?
I'm still going to start Duke in PPR for sure.
As a flex or as an actual starting running back?
I'd still be. Well, he's borderline
starter,
second,
so close to the top 25?
Yeah, he's
top 30-ish guy?
Yeah, I'm just checking here. We're on BlueDogFantasy.com. Where did I have Duke in PPR? It's a very good question here. There he is. He's number 24 for me, so yes, he is pretty much a starter in there for me.
Yeah, and I'm at 30, so basically. What about Hyde?
I got to see it another week before I'm putting him in. I just don't trust that second half of that situation there. If I can see more consistency that he gets a decent amount of touches, then I will put him in maybe as a flex in a standard league. I don't have much interest in him in a PPR though.
Yeah, we both have him at about 40 in PPR. But let's move on now. The Los Angeles Chargers, who are missing basically everyone except for Keenan Allen and Phillip Rivers, because they are missing Melvin Gordon as well. But this game should be a shootout to me. This is one of the games that I was looking to pick to attack for in daily fantasy sports, but now I'm kind of still interested because here I had the stack with Stafford, TJ, and Galladay, and to add in Keenan Allen if Mike Williams is out. But now that Hunter Henry's out, like Keenan Allen's to me a for sure ad, but I think he's just going to be too popular now.
Yeah, in tournament play for sure.
Yeah.
If you're going to go in the double up play, it doesn't really matter how what percentage he's owned, how much he's owned there. Hawk, I'm curious what Hawk does in this game, to be honest. Because of the rookie tight end thing, I don't expect what he did against the Cardinals, but I'm curious how they use him if they target him 9 times again.
Yeah, and that was an extra long game, too, against the Cardinals, so that played into it a bit. Hawk's a borderline starter for me. I'm giving Kerryon another shot here. I'm a little higher on him than you guys are on the rankings. So I'm hoping Detroit uses him more because they coughed up a lead last week by not using him properly. So looking to see what Kerryon can do here. Obviously, Austin Eckler is a must-start. Justin Jackson is a sit for me at this point. Anything to add on this situation?
Nope, just watch the Mike Williams situation. That's all.
All right, Minnesota and Green Bay and what might be the game of the week. I think this is going to be low scoring. These are both good defenses. You saw Green Bay on Thursday and Minnesota on Sunday dominated the Falcons till they put their foot off the gas and then just let them score some garbage time points. So I'm looking to see another offensive dud here for Aaron Rodgers. What are your thoughts on that? Yeah,
it's definitely not going to be the fantasy game of the week. He'll probably put up about average numbers, a little bit over like about 250 in passing yards, a couple touchdowns maybe, but nothing spectacular. Devontae Adams, he's scored a touchdown in every game in the last 4 games against the Vikings. It's probably going to continue. He seems to have Xavier Rhodes' number there. But yeah, Cook, Thielen, Diggs, you still have to play them if you have them, but don't expect huge numbers from them.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll add is if I'm correct and Aaron Rodgers has another dud of a game, you should absolutely be looking to buy Aaron Rodgers after week 2 with the Aaron Rodgers owner panicking to try and sell him.
Even Aaron Jones, he probably won't have that great of a game with the Vikings defense either.
Another buy candidate?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Either Aaron, whichever one has the worst game, whatever owner is looking to move on from the Aaron, go after that Aaron. We like both the Aarons for the rest of the season. Patriots and Dolphins. We covered this a bit in the opener. Anyone you're interested in starting on Miami?
Not really. There's going to be somebody that does something in garbage time. So, that can be like maybe Albert Wilson or Devontae Parker or
Preston Williams.
But you're guessing.
Yeah, you shouldn't be banking on garbage time.
I'm not going to start anybody on Miami. Not even Ryan Fitzpatrick banking on that garbage time because he might get yanked by then.
Is there anyone you're sitting on the Patriots out of the following? Tom Brady, Antonio Brown if he plays, Josh Gordon, Julian Edelman, James White, Sony Michel, Rex Burkhead.
Rex Burkhead's going to be the winner out of that group. And Gordon's going to be a tough start for me if Antonio Brown plays. Obviously, if he doesn't, it's pretty straightforward. You have to play him. But I don't know if I trust the third wide receiver option for that. Miami's probably going to have a good game because that's just the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you can ignore what happened last week. You got to go with run your Pats except for Rex Burkhead and maybe Gordon if Brown plays.
Yeah, I was reading a stat on the highest road favorites, and none of them covered. So, and most of the games ended up being pretty close. But Rex Burkhead, congratulations. Feel free to subscribe and shoot us a comment, and we'll give you your prize. Moving on, the 49ers at the Bengals. Is the San Francisco defense good? Is the Bengals offense good? I'd avoid this game in DFS, but I'm fine starting Ross and Boyd and Breda. And we do have an injury to talk about, so why don't you go with that?
Yeah, Joe Mixon is day-to-day right now. He is hopeful to play, but we just don't know right now. I mean, obviously, watch the situation until Friday. You should have a good idea by then whether he's going to be a go or not. If he does not play, Gio is probably going to jump into my top 25 for running backs, and he would be definitely a running back starter for me if I have him in any leagues.
Yeah, he'd be a flex starter for me, Gio Bernard, if Mixon can't go. Not really anybody else I'm looking for. Interesting stat about the 49ers snap counts. Deebo Samuel had 88% and Dante Pettis had 3% in week 1. So the whole this is the number one wide receiver, this is that. It's all malarkey, as you would say, Matt. And I wouldn't start any of these wide receivers, but I am interested in Deebo Samuel. He's a guy I have in a lot of leagues, a guy I'm holding. I think he's going to be the number one receiver there by week 6 to 8 and should start producing value when you're getting closer to the run to the playoffs. Moving on to Seattle and Pittsburgh. I want to believe this is going to be low scoring, but I think the offenses will show up more in this one. All the wide receivers for Seattle are still sits for me. Matt, your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, Carson I like out of Seattle.
Yeah, we like Carson every week.
Yeah, I'm okay starting Russ in like a deeper league. He's not
like
that
14?
great. Yeah, like 14-ish.
And he's not a sit, though. You don't have him outside the top 15 or anything.
I do. I have him at number 16, actually. He's very borderline starter for me. But anyway, I think Pittsburgh's offense is going to jump back into gear here. Like Cincinnati made Seattle's defense look pretty bad. Juju, he does have a back injury that he's kind of nursing, so they might take it easy with him through practice, but he's expected to play. James Conner, of course, run him out there. And even Ben Roethlisberger, you can, I think you can run him out there. There he is. Yep, number 12 for me.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the rankings here for quarterbacks on BlueDuckFantasy.com, and I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rankings, including Russell Wilson, that you just copied exactly what I had instead of coming up with your own rankings, which is just disappointing. But yeah, I also have him at 16. He's not somebody I'd be starting in outside of a deeper league, or if that's a quarterback I have, but he's not a quarterback that I have in any leagues. So I don't think the Pittsburgh offense gets rolling. I think the Pittsburgh offense will be better than what they did on Sunday night. I mean, they can't be that hard. James Conner's a guy I like here. Juju, you can't sit. But that's about it. I wouldn't be starting Ben Roethlisberger. I believe I have him even lower. I have him at 20th this week, so no interest there for me. Well, let's move on to a game that should be a shootout as well, at least a one-sided shootout, and that's KC and the Raiders. Raiders lost their first-round safety today.
Mm-hmm.
First-round pick this year, safety. On the IR out for the year, so that will hurt the defense. Not like it would matter with Patrick Mahomes and company coming to town. Only players that I like on the Raiders are Jalen Richard as a cheap flex play in DFS. And obviously Tyrell Williams, I guess, has to be started at this point. And Darren Waller's a borderline tight end start for me as well, even without looking at the rankings on BlueDuckFantasy.com. I'm sure I'll have him in the early 10 range, 10 to 13.
Yeah, Jalen Richard, you're kind of banking on a little bit of garbage time here, that not even so much garbage time, but they're going to be in a situation where they're chasing points. They're going to be having to throw it. He is definitely the more of the receiving back than Josh Jacobs, even though Jacobs had some pretty good catches there on Monday Night Football. And the Chiefs, I would even throw a flyer on Mecole Hardman in DFS tournament mode this week.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's a good play too as well. There might be a more popular one. But yeah, I'm expecting a lot of garbage time for Jalen Richard. Obviously, if you have Josh Jacobs, you have to start him. He wasn't overly great on Sunday, but he had a great stat line. And his attitude towards how he should have been better is really something nice to see from a player. Moving on to the Bears and the Broncos, is there anyone in this game that you will start other than David Montgomery?
Can I say the defenses?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Then I would start Cortland Sutton as a third wide receiver still.
I would not.
I just think the volume's going to be there. I mean, he'll probably still get 6 or 7 catches, PPR at least. There isn't, other than that, no, not much at all. Definitely neither of the quarterbacks. No, there's nothing there for me, honestly. That's going to be like a 10-3, 10-7, 14-10 game, something like that.
So this is how you know you're listening to some good fantasy advice. Cortland Sutton is my sleeper of the year. I have him as a top 25 overall wide receiver this year. And this week I have him ranked at 47th, lower than both you and Mr. Black. So there's no bias here. It's all facts. I would not start Cortland Sutton against this defense. You saw what they did to the man back here, Devontae Adams. One long catch by MVS was all the offense the Packers needed to win the game, basically. And then a throw to the tight end. So I'd be avoiding everyone there. And David Montgomery, you're just starting because of the value you spent on him, and you're hoping that they use him more because he looked great in week 1, and they used him less than the other 2 backs. Now let's get to a game I'm really excited about, and that's the Saints and the Rams, the rematch from last year's NFC Conference Final.
Who won that one, by the way?
The refs. What are your thoughts on here? I have Ginn here as a good start in DFS. And obviously everybody else is a go, including Latavius in standard scoring.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not benching very many players that I have in this. I'm starting all 3 Rams receivers. I'm going with Gurley. I'm okay with Malcolm Brown. I've got Jared Goff pretty high, actually a lot higher than yourself and Mr. Black in our rankings here. I've got him as number 6. He's likely going to be my DFS tournament play this week, even though he might be more highly owned. I'm probably going to stack him with Robert Woods. That's what I've got right now. We're going to wait and see. But I'm starting everyone, Thomas, Ginn, maybe even Traquan Smith, actually. I think this is going to be a really high-scoring game.
Let's talk running backs here before you overvalue Jared Goff anymore. For the Rams, at least. Both the guys we mentioned, like Kamara's an obvious start. Todd Gurley is a start. What about Malcolm Brown?
Yeah, like I just said, he's somebody that I would be okay running up in a flex this week. Like I said, he's going to be their goal line back, it looks like, based on last week. And I expect them to be in the red zone probably a good 5-6 times this week and maybe more. I would take a gamble on him as a flex. I don't know. I wouldn't run him as a running back too, but flex.
Yeah, you have him here ranked. I just had it. Why did I lose it? I have him 23rd. You have him 32nd, so right in the flex area for you. He is a starting running back for me this week. Really liked how he played last week on limited snaps and limited touches. But yeah, the goal line back with the defense that gave up a lot on Monday night. So definitely a fan of starting him. Eagles, Falcons. I'll let you lead this one off.
Carson Wentz.
Your boy Carson Wentz.
Carson Wentz. He's my second quarterback of the week. I expect this to be another really high-scoring game. Well, neither defense did a whole lot on Sunday there. I'm big on Wentz this year anyway. There's not really a running back on Philly that I'm overly comfortable with. Even the wide receivers, it's going to be probably a mixed bag there with Jeffrey and Jackson and, maybe Aguilar and Zach Ertz. That's why the wide receivers I don't have necessarily ranked super high, because it could be any one of the 4 that are going to get it. But they're going to put up points, so that's why I'm a big fan of Carson Wentz.
Even Goddard.
Even Dallas Goddard, yeah. And Carson Wentz was robbed of a touchdown last week. We should have mentioned that earlier. That run that Alshon Jeffrey had, it was a pass. But anyway, and the Falcons, I think it's going to be high scoring. I've got Julio as number one as a wide receiver this week, actually, a man that you're quite high on going into the season.
No, I wasn't. I had him outside the top 10. You're clearly mistaken.
Anyways, I expect them to be pretty good. Obviously, you saw Washington put up a decent amount of points against Philly's defense. This is going to be an indoor game. There's really no excuses here. This is going to be another high-scoring game. Not quite to the same level as Rams, Saints, but it's going to be up there.
Yeah, the wide receivers, as you mentioned, Alshon to me is a top 25 guy from here on out. I don't care about the matchup. He should be started unless you somehow have great wide receivers and he's your third or fourth guy. The Philly running back situation is one to avoid until further notice. And I have here last note, if you can avoid Devonta Freeman, do so. But most likely you can't, so you have to go with him. He and Ito Smith had equal number of snaps last week. And Freeman wasn't very good with his touches. So there might be some lingering injury stuff going on there, or he just might be done. But I understand if you drafted him early and you don't have a better running back, but if you're able to grab a Malcolm Brown off the waiver wire, I would start him ahead of Devonta Freeman.
I would not.
Thank you for that. Moving on to the Monday Nighter, we have the Browns and the Jets. To me, this is similar to that Atlanta game. This should be probably high scoring as well. It's a good matchup for Cleveland. People are down on Cleveland. Atlanta wasn't very good last week until garbage time either, so people down on them. This is a team that you can look at. And PPR beast Jameson Crowder should be solid, especially with the news that Enunwa is out for the season now.
Yeah, start your Browns. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. The Jets, Mariota looked pretty good last week against this defense. I don't know. Do you dare start Sam Darnold?
No.
Didn't think so. Le'Veon, pretty easy start.
Yeah,
None of the wide receivers from New York, aside from Crowder, really did a lot last week. Maybe Robbie Anderson gets it going this week, more for a standard play though.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind starting Robbie Anderson as a standard wide receiver, like as my third wide receiver on a team. In a standard league, I saw A.J. Brown have success against his team last week. Wonder who Denzel Ward will shadow. It may be Robbie Anderson, so he could be in for another bad game. And if that's the case, then that's somebody to look to buy. That's going to wrap it up for our Game 2 previews. I was going to talk about something, but then when the Hunter Henry injury happened, because I was just looking at our rankings today on BlueDuckFantasy.com for tight ends. We have the same 1, 2, 3 for the second week in a row. That's Kelsey, Kittle, Ertz, and then the same 4, 5, 6, but not in the same order. We had Ingram, we had Howard, and we had Hunter till the injury. So I was wondering who you thought would be your pick to crack the top 3 tight ends, and your pick to crack the top 6, now like 4, 5, 6, but now 4, 5 only tight ends.
That is a tough question. I want to say Njoku, but he's just too close to that anyway.
He's basically 6 now
yeah,
with
Hunter Henry being out. I think the guy with the most potential to break into it, going to surprise you, TJ.
Yeah, that's what I figured you'd say. What about for the 4, 5, 6 guys? Who do you think has the best chance of becoming top 3? And who do you have falling out of top 3 if somebody were to fall out?
If somebody's going to fall out of it, it's going to be Zach Ertz out of those 3. Partially because of Goddard and just they like to spread the ball around there.
They have a lot of weapons there.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas City has a lot of weapons too, but Kelsey's not falling out, and George Kittle is the guy there. Who's going to go into the 4, 5, 6?
No, who's going to go into the 1, 2, 3 to replace Ertz? Ertz falls out of the top 3. It would have been predicting this is going to happen in 2019.
It would have been Hunter Henry before about 5 hours ago.
Wow, you're so high on Hunter Henry.
If I'm going to pick out of the rest, it's going to be Evan Ingram.
Yeah, that's the pick to me too.
Just because lack of options outside of Evan Ingram, especially with Shepard now out and Tate suspended, etc. Saquon can't do everything for them.
And he had a great game in week 1 that we really haven't talked about. He was one of the highest scoring tight ends, if not the highest scoring tight end. He was ahead of Hawk in half-point PPR, at least for stats that I looked at. So I'm going to agree. I actually think Hawk is the best bet to crack into that 4, 5, 6. We saw Cook do not much. We're deciding that Njoku's now in there. Vance McDonald didn't do much, and he's never going to be the guy with that high potential. Hooper would have been another name, but I don't really like Hooper. He just seems to get a lot of catches. So maybe in a PPR I would pick him, but in most formats, it's going to be Hawk. Anyways, anything to add to this?
Would you like to do a quiz?
Just for those of you watching, this is the second ever quiz that we have done. We did one in the first ever episode. I got one wrong.
5 for 6.
5 for 6. It's disappointing. I've been studying every stat that I can find. I have no idea what this quiz is on.
It's pretty easy.
Tell me. Yes.
Name for me the top 5 receiving yards leaders last year.
Last year, the top 5 receiving yards leader?
2018, yep.
Julio Jones?
Correct.
Mike Evans?
Correct. He's number 3, though.
Who was Julio 1?
1, yep.
Tyreek Hill?
Correct. Number 4.
Michael Thomas?
Ooh, he was number 6. 3 for 4. You get 8 guesses, by the way.
Juju?
Juju is correct. Number 5. You are missing number 2. And our listeners probably think, you're an idiot. Why haven't you guessed this guy yet?
Because he missed the last game of the season. Why would I pick him? Just looking at my rankings to get some names here. Is he not on the rankings?
He should be on.
DeAndre Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins is correct.
I was thinking Antonio Brown, and I think he was pretty high up there. That's why I said I just need the name refresher.
I thought you might guess DA back here.
That actually would have been another good guess as well. Was he 7th?
No, actually, he is. Yes, he is number 7. Sorry.
Where was Antonio Brown? Because he missed the game.
Yeah, DA missed the last game of the year too, by the way. Antonio Brown was number 11. Right behind Travis Kelce.
All right, another 1X performance by me. 5 for 6 again. But anyways, Matt, anything to say to viewers or listeners before we go?
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you do both, thanks for doing that as well.
That's it.